going to be. And because I'm a researcher, I do research at the university. I was constantly kind of looking at what she was doing through those researcher lenses and starting to think about how we can help, I hesitate to say assess, but document what's going on in the innovation lab. Because one of the problems that we'll run up against is people will say, well, yeah, how do you know anything's going on, right? How do we know that things are happening, that the students are growing, or they're maturing mentally in some way? So I've been following this work. Comes from a fairly well-respected group of individuals. One of them being Howard Gardner, who focuses on multiple intelligences and really is trying to drive school systems to think in different ways and think about not just your mathematics intelligence or your science intelligence, those sorts of intelligence, but other intelligences like dance, for example, and trying to figure out how to get schools to look at things in different ways. So anyway, some of this work that I keyed in on originated there. And it really has to do with mapping mental states, mental maps of where students are, and then watching those mental maps progress through time, a series of time sequences, and seeing how they change. And that allows sort of a different snapshot of what a student is. It's more holistic, it's more inclusive, and so therefore kind of reflects some of this ecosystem that Monica is trying to establish in the innovation lab, where we're not just testing basic skills or even advanced skills and trying to see at the end of a sequence of lessons whether or not students can retain those skills, but we're really looking at sort of this holistic map of their mind, trying to get more of this bigger picture of what's going on as they move through this stuff. So there's a group, and they're doing this. They're actually doing this in relation to gaming. So students play games, and they've designed games that are designed to get students to engage in a specific topic, and they do their mental map before they play the game, and then they take these time slices throughout the game, and then they see where the students end up at the end of the game. And there's some really compelling evidence that shows that they're growing and maturing mentally in these cognitive areas as they go through and play the game. So I started to think, oh, well, how can this be applied to what we're doing here in the Innovation Lab? Okay, so we could take a cognitive snapshot, a mental map, if you will, of the student where they are at the beginning of the Innovation Lab. They engage in an activity, an action research project like what's been described here. And we keep taking snapshots as the students work through these work through these activities with their mentors, and we see how their mental maps mature. So in a lot of research, the outcomes are uncertain. I'm not exactly sure what we'll see. I'm not exactly sure what we'll glean from these mental maps. I think it could be quite interesting. For one, we're going to try to not only have the students create mental maps for the students as they progress through these time slice and these activities, but to also try to model their mentors' maps as they work alongside the students to see what their mental maps look like, and then compare the two. So what does the mentor's mental map look like? What do they think about? What do they observe? What do they do? And then what is the student doing over here? And how do they compare? And are there certain things that the mentor does that the student doesn't do? Those could be very interesting things to key in on. and then try to, I guess, direct the students and maybe alert their mentors to say, you know, the student doesn't seem to be doing these kinds of things that you're doing. Is there a way you can explain to the student what those are, or how they could think in that way, so that they could engage in more of those types of activities? So that may be what we find, but like I said, in most research, the conclusions are unknown. So we're just going to kind of, what we want to do is engage in these mapping activities and see what we learn and what we gain from it. So the process is fairly, for the students, the process is fairly transparent. They don't really see much of it. Monica's having the students, all the students who are doing these activities log, and we've come up with a logging process. And those logging activities, as long as you guys agree to participate, okay, and I'll go through some of the formalities of that piece here in a second, but as long as you guys agree to participate, you would log what's going on and what you observe and what you dream about and who you connect with, and then what you do. You'd be logging all those things, and that stream of data would come to us at CSU, your logs, and we would analyze that and put it into mental maps. Okay, that would give a time slice of what sort of that activity is looking like at the beginning, and then as we go through the activity. So we would also be, again, collecting hopefully some of the mentors' ideas and loggings, and then being able to produce mental maps alongside of the students' mental maps. So it's a interesting approach to sort of assessment and understanding as to what happens with these students as they go through the activity. So let's kind of stop there and see if you have questions or if you have ideas or thoughts. Yeah.
Well, could you explain exactly when you're saying a mental map?
Right.
What is a mental map and what does that look like?
Right. I have it's not a mental map, but it's a mapping. I've been doing mapping and network mapping for a while now, and I don't know if we can get this. I thought we'd have a whiteboard, but we don't. But maybe we can bring this up. But a mental map is essentially nodes of activity. So a node is a dot on a map. Okay, you guys